Beyond the abomination of violence is the belief that violence has the power to bring about everlasting nonviolence. Even if and when all of the wars have ended, long after the last projectile has been hurled, the very atmosphere will continue to tremble with poison, as what few humans who remain will, within the depth of their hearts, wonder if there ever could have been another way. Before we come to the page, before the first word is ever written down or read or listened to, there is a longing to connect. My name is Charlie Mehrhoff, your host here at Before the Page, a podcast featuring poetry, parable, fiction, and words to echo our longing. Welcome to this, our 21st episode of Before the Page. We here at Before the Page know this ever-evolving gift of language can go unfathomable distances, creating heaven on earth when shared in unconditional love. We also know that language has the potential to take humanity away from itself, straight to hell on earth. How we speak to those, especially publicly, who we believe, who we know to be evil, especially how we speak with those who have the power of life and death over innocent human beings, how we speak to the tyrants of this world, can actually be a matter of life and death for countless others. We are all creatures of the divine. Do we have the right to call those whose actions and philosophies we oppose foul and repulsive names? When we name call, when we rant, mock, even scream, we have already lost, we have already sunk down myriad levels. And what tyrant is going to turn around and behave with loving action, with flames of angry, accusing words burning beneath his ass? Does your heart turn when venomous voices rage against you? And now, to read for you two letters, both composed by M.K. Gandhi, Mahatma Great Soul Gandhi, and sent to one Adolph Hitler at a time when the world was on fire. And no, when the world is on fire, there are always those who give it their all to cool the heats. This first letter that Gandhi wrote to Adolf Hitler, it is dated July 23rd, 1939. Gandhi composed it in the central province of Wada. Dear friend, friends have been urging me to write to you for the sake of humanity, but I have resisted their request because of the feeling that any letter from me would be an impertinence. Something tells me that I must not calculate and that I must make my appeal for whatever it may be worth. It is quite clear that you are today the one person in the world who can prevent a war which may reduce humanity to the savage state. Must you pay that price for an object, however worthy it may appear to you to be? Will you listen to the appeal of one who has deliberately shunned the method of war, not without considerable success? Anyway, I anticipate your forgiveness if I have erred in writing to you. I remain your sincere friend, M.K. Gandhi. Again, that letter was composed July 23rd, 1939, and World War II kind of officially began September 1st, 1939, when Germany invaded Poland. World War II, well, Germany surrendered in early May 1945. This second letter that Mahatma Gandhi wrote to Adolf Hitler was composed December 24th, 1940. Dear friend, that I address you as a friend is no formality. I own no foes. My business in life has been, for the past 33 years, to enlist the friendship of the whole of humanity by befriending mankind, irrespective of race, color, or creed. I hope you will have the time and desire to know how a good portion of humanity who have been living under the influence of that doctrine of universal friendship view your action. We have no doubt about your bravery or devotion to your fatherland, nor do we believe that you are the monster described by your opponents. But your own writings and pronouncements and those of your friends and admirers leave no room for doubt that many of your acts are monstrous and unbecoming of human dignity, especially in the estimation of men like me who believe in universal friendliness. Such are your humiliation of Czechoslovakia, the rape of Poland, and the swallowing of Denmark. I am aware that your view of life regards such spoliations as virtuous acts. But we have been taught from childhood to regard them as acts degrading humanity. Hence, we cannot possibly wish success to your arms. But ours is a unique position. We resist British imperialism no less than Nazism. If there is a difference, it is in degree. 1/5 of the human race has been brought under the British heel by means that will not bear scrutiny. Our resistance to it does not mean harm to the British people. We seek to convert them, not to defeat them on the battlefield. Ours is an unarmed revolt against the British rule. But whether we convert them or not, we are determined to make their rule impossible by non-violent non-cooperation. It is a method in its nature indefensible. It is based on the knowledge that no spoliator can compass his end without a certain degree of cooperation, willing or compulsory, of the victim. Our rulers may have our land and bodies, but not our souls. They can have the former only by a complete destruction of every Indian, man, woman, and child. That all may not rise to that degree of heroism, and that a fair amount of frightfulness can bend the back of revolt is true, but the argument would be beside the point. 4. If a fair number of men and women be found in India who would be prepared without any ill will against the spoliators to lay down their lives rather than bend the knee to them, they would have shown the way to freedom from the tyranny of violence. I ask you to believe me when I say that you will find an unexpected number of such men and women in India. They have been having that training for the past 20 years. We have been trying for the past half a century to throw off the British rule. The movement of independence has been never so strong as now. The most powerful political organization, I mean, the Indian National Congress, is trying to achieve this end. we have attained a very fair measure of success through nonviolent effort. We were groping for the right means to combat the most organized violence in the world, which the British power represents. You have challenged it. It remains to be seen which is the better organized, the German or the British. We know what the British heel means for us and the non-European races of the world. But we would never wish to end the British rule with German aid. We have found in nonviolence a force which, if organized, can without doubt match itself against a combination of all the most violent forces in the world. In nonviolent technique, as I have said, there is no such thing as defeat. It is all do or die without killing or hurting. It can be used practically without money and obviously without the aid of science of destruction which you have brought to such perfection. It is a marvel to me that you do not see that it is nobody's monopoly. If not the British, some other power will certainly improve upon your method and beat you with your own weapon. You are leaving no legacy to your people of which they would feel proud. They cannot take pride in a recital of cruel deed, however skillfully planned. I, therefore, appeal to you in the name of humanity to stop the war. You will lose nothing by referring all the matters of dispute between you and Great Britain to an international tribunal of your joint choice. If you attain success in the war, it will not prove that you were in the right. It will only prove that your power of destruction was greater. Whereas an award by an impartial tribunal will show as far as it is humanly possible which party was in the right. You know that not long ago I made an appeal to every Briton to accept my method of non-violent resistance. I did it because the British know me as a friend, though a rebel. I am a stranger to you and your people. I have not the courage to make you the appeal I made to every Briton. Not that it would not apply to you with the same force as to the British, but my present proposal is much simpler because it is much more practical and familiar. During this season, when the hearts of the peoples of Europe yearn for peace, we have suspended even our own peaceful struggle. Is it too much to ask you to make an effort for peace during a time which may mean nothing to you personally, but which must mean much to the millions of Europeans whose dumb cry for peace I hear? For my ears are attended to hearing the dumb millions. I had intended to address a joint appeal to you and Signor Mussolini, whom I had the privilege of meeting when I was in Rome during my visit to England as a delegate to the Round Table Conference. I hope that he will take this as addressed to him also, with the necessary changes. I am your sincere friend, M.K. Gandhi. Now, we know, looking at history, we know that Gandhi's words did not stop Adolf Hitler. We also know that Gandhi passed from this earth feeling as if he had failed in his great mission, an undivided India. However, imagine what this world would be like if such a great soul as Mahatma Gandhi had never been. It is possible, very possible, that Gandhi's words, written with kindness to Adolf Hitler, may have had some positive effect upon the dictator. Perhaps after reading Gandhi's words, Hitler was less eager to dominate other human beings for a short time. Maybe he unconsciously toned down a speech or two. Kind words can have a soothing effect in places and realms unimaginable. These few words here from Rumi, translated by Daniel Ladinsky. the sadness I have caused any face by letting a stray word strike it, any pain I have caused you, what can I do to make us even? Demand 100-fold of me, I'll pay it. During the day, I hold my feet accountable to watch out for wondrous insects and their dwellings. Why would I want to bring horror into their extraordinary world? Magnetic fields draw us to light. They move our limbs and thoughts. But it is still dark. If our hearts do not hold a lantern, we will stumble over each other, huddled beneath the sky as we are. From the French priest, Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. The age of nations has passed. Now, unless we wish to perish, we must shake off our old prejudices and build the earth. The more scientifically I regard the world, the less can I see any possible biological future for it, except in the active consciousness of its unity. This is composed by the reader. Beyond the abomination of violence is the belief that violence has the power to bring about everlasting non-violence. Even if and when all of the wars have ended, long after the last projectile has been hurled, the very atmosphere will continue to tremble with poison, as what few humans who remain will, within the depth of their hearts, wonder if there ever could have been another way. And this also composed by the reader. What if we stopped killing each other with weapons? What if we vow to kill one another with acts of loving kindness and loving kindness only? For if love cannot take a life, that life is not worth taking, not ever. And two more Daniel Ladinsky translations from Kabir. I had to seek the physician because of the pain this world caused me. I could not believe what happened when I got there. I found my teacher. Before I left, he said, "Up for a little homework yet?" "Okay," I replied. "Well, then, try thanking all the people who have caused you pain. They helped you come to me." There is a sword in a museum not far from me. It was once used by a great prince who defended his country and faith, and many limbs and heads it severed. One day that sword will die, as all things will, and it will stand before God. And the sword's eyes will behold the splendor of heaven behind our beloved, and the sword will wonder with all of its heart, will he let me in because of my life? And God will say to that sword, as he does to every creature, no harm done, no harm done. Forever welcomed are all. We're going to close out this episode of Before the Page with Jiddu Krishnamurti. He is talking about how does nationalism go away? How do we make nationalism go away? Only by our understanding its full implications, by examining it, by being aware of its significance in outward and inward action. Outwardly, it brings about divisions between people, classifications, wars, and destruction. which is obvious to anyone who is observant. Inwardly, psychologically, this identification with the greater, with the country, with an idea, is obviously a form of self-expansion. Living in a little village or a big town or whatever it may be, I am nobody. But if I identify myself with the larger, with the country, if I call myself a Hindu, it flatters my vanity. It gives me gratification, prestige, a sense of well-being. And that identification with the larger, which is a psychological necessity for those who feel that self-expansion is essential, also creates conflict, strife between people. Thus, nationalism not only creates outward conflict, but inward frustrations. When one understands nationalism, the whole process of nationalism, it falls away. The understanding of nationalism comes through intelligence, by carefully observing, by probing into the whole process of nationalism, patriotism. Out of that examination comes intelligence, and then there is no substitution of something else for nationalism. The moment you substitute some religion for nationalism, religion becomes another means of self-expansion, another source of psychological anxiety, a means of feeding oneself through a belief. Therefore, any form of substitution, however noble, is a form of ignorance. It is like a man substituting chewing gum or betel nut or whatever it is for smoking. Whereas if one really understands the whole problem of smoking, of habits, sensations, psychological demands, and all the rest of it, then smoking drops away. You can understand only when there is a development of intelligence, when intelligence is functioning, and intelligence is not functioning when there is substitution. Substitution is merely a form of self-bribery, to tempt you not to do this, but to do that. Nationalism, with its poison, with its misery and world strife, can disappear only when there is intelligence, and intelligence does not come merely by passing examinations and studying books. Intelligence comes into being when we understand problems as they arise, when there is understanding of the problem at its different levels, not only of the outward part, but of its inward psychological implications. Then, in that process, intelligence comes into being. So when there is intelligence, there is no substitution. And when there is intelligence, then nationalism, patriotism, which is a form of stupidity, disappears. Well, thank you all once again for listening to an episode of Before the Page. Your comments, thoughts, anything is greatly appreciated. If you want to reach out, that's easy enough to do. Just go to beforethepage@gmail.com. That's beforethepage, just how it sounds, beforethepage@gmail.com. And just want to say thank you, be well, until the next.